when they try to slap you.
Yeah.
Because and you know, the thing about me is that I've been in it for years and I have my style.
Okay.
I don't try to copy anybody's style. And my advice to you is to develop your own style, because that's the only way you're going to be comfortable doing it.
Right. Thank you so much. So let's get into our conversation for today, beginning with brief review and or an overview of some of the achievements of the administration. You are the Prime Minister's special advisor, so you are fit to tell us on some of the things that he has achieved since becoming Prime Minister.
Briefly, for the first 18 months of his administration, he zeroed in, focused on developing the human element of our society. We have always heard that our country's greatest resource are our people. And so the Prime Minister took the time out, especially coming out of a pandemic, to stabilize the economic situation in a personal way. Persons had gone into their savings, some even depleted their savings. And so one of the crisis situations that they were in individually, that we were in individually, was not having funds. One of the first things that he did was to pay a moratorium to those who qualified but were not paid under the previous administration for work that they did during the pandemic. He paid as well, and that year, 2022, he gave a double salary to the civil servants. Yes, they were working and they were, and they felt the stress. Even though, and people like to say they received their salaries, but even though they did, they also had relatives who did not, and so the resources that they had became slimmer for them because they had to assist their relatives and etc. who didn't have. And so that was done. He also paid a dividend, the first ever dividend from the CBI was also paid in 2022, December. Additionally, and he was hoping that he could have even had the minimum wage increase then, and we will touch on that too, but the businesses were also suffering, or also suffered. And so, December 2022, they were not in a position economically. They would not have rebounded sufficiently to increase the minimum wage. And so the minimum wage was not increased at that time. But it was always on his to-do list and on the front of the front burner. Additionally, going into 2023, and also in 2022, he looked after the micro businesses, those that were owned by small business owners. And there was a loan program of up to 20,000 that would be processed within the bank in terms of the staff, and then above 20,000 would have had to be processed in the first instance by Ministry of Finance and then later by the Board of Directors of the bank.
Okay.
And that was at a 2% interest rate on repayment. That gave the opportunity, and I want to say that my information is that that particular sector, in terms of the loan portfolios in the bank, has a high percentage of repayment. Because the terms were favorable and persons were encouraged.
And the interest rate, 2%.
Exactly. And persons were encouraged to repay. Because if you don't repay, you might find that you have to pay legal costs on that. And all of a sudden, you don't have those favorable terms with respect to the low interest rate.
Right.
And so I want to commend those who took the loans and is paying. But in 2023, he went on further and he reduced the interest rate from, I think it was 9% to 5% for student loans. And so all of this is taking care of the human element. We also had the introduction of, apart from the reduction in the student loans, we also had the ability to get some relief with respect to the independence reset. A number of areas was covered in the independence reset. Today, the time will not permit me to get into all of the areas, but two areas was with respect to persons who had houses from NHC, persons who had land and electricity and water. You were able to reset those things. That would give you more liquid cash in your hand, because instead of having to grapple with that huge arrears bill hanging over your head, you had a chance to rewrite it and so make it more easy for you to pay. He also had an independence gift of $1,000 for each person once they had contributed throughout their Social Security lifetime for 26 weeks. Additionally to that, a second dividend was paid. And then most recently, there was a further increase for civil servants of 8%, the introduction of the contributable pension. But the importance of that is that for the first time again, the GAE workers were now becoming pensionable, provided them with some security to have an income in the older age. That is looking after the human element. He recalculated the recalculation of the long service gratuity, because the previous administration had taken it down from what it was, and he ensured that there was a recalculation, and persons who suffered adversely from that devaluing, they received additional checks. So, I mean, you know, I don't think anybody could say he did not look after the human element of our society in the first 18 months, and do so with a straight face. But coming on January 1 as well was an increase in the minimum wage, the increase that he wanted. Because out of that negotiation, even though it came in two phases, came for 2025 going up to $12 per hour. And that indicates in both phases a 31.7 or 31.07 percent increase in the minimum wage. But I want to give you a little bit of history, because, you know, and I'm going back from as far as 2004.
As to what it was before?
Exactly.
Okay.
And not just the minimum wage, but because this is where I'm going to end in terms of the review. Between 2004 and 2024, increases were had at the minimum wage level, at the middle income level for civil servants, and at the highest paid level for parliamentarians. Let us look at the minimum wage, the least among us. In 2004, they were working for $6.25 per hour. In 2008, there was an increase which took it up to $8 per hour. That represents a 28% increase in the minimum wage. In 2014, it went from $8 per hour to $9 per hour. That represents a 12.5% increase in the minimum wage. And then in 2024, we're going to divide them now. In 2024, it went to $10.75, which represents a 19.44%. And then in mid-2025, as of the 1st of July, it would go up to $12 per hour, which represents a further 11.63%. Hence, I said 31.07%. But hear this. Between 2004, and 2023, the increase in the minimum wage represents 59.94%.
I just did the calculation here.
And then in 2025, it will go up to 71.57%. But hear this. This has already been negotiated. So the negotiated amount of the increase in the minimum wage up to 2025 would be 71.57%. But let us work with the 59.94%. Because we are in 2024. The minimum wage worker got the largest percentage of increase. I thought that's what they said they wanted. That's the way it should be. They've been crying out for it, but they're misleading the people because they got it. 59.94%. The middle income in terms of the civil servants got an increase of some 41% over the same period. 41%. So they got the second highest percentage of increase on their earnings over the same period. And then in the parliamentarian, which are at the highest level of pay, received 33% over the same period. So they get the least amount in terms of a percentage on their increase. And if you listen to what they say on the street, it would not appear that way to you. But these are the hard facts. Numbers do not lie. And I want to say this, that increase was not commissioned by this administration. It was commissioned by the previous administration. It was voted for in December 2021 for the 2022 budget. The Prime Minister was made aware of it when he came in, and he said, we are not going to operationalize it at this time until a few things is done. And Devonne, one of them included something I didn't say before. The savings stroke investment portfolio for our young citizens. And I could tell you that is his idea, because we discussed that even before he became the leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. We discussed about what can be done for the young citizens. So, in my opinion, anybody who wants to look at you with a straight face have to accept two things. One, that he has in fact looked after the human element of our society for the first 18 months of his administration, and the capital projects will be coming now. And two, that in terms of the salary increases over the 20-year period, the parliamentarians got the least percentage of increase, as it should be. The minimum wage worker got the highest percentage of the increase, as it should be. And those who are in the middle, they got the medium amount, as it should be.
You've made mention of the achievements of the administration, from minimum wage financial education savings programs, and touching on the fact that all of these tie into the human element and focusing on the development of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Exactly.
Now, we understand, St. Kitts and Nevis and the other Caribbean countries coming out of COVID, things were rough because most economies depended heavily on tourism. We've been listening to the present administration speak about a sustainable island state and looking at doing things that tie into and support the sustainable island state. What we want to know is, what is the Prime Minister looking at now, and his administration looking at now, or focusing on rather, to keep St. Kitts and Nevis afloat? Should we see a possible decline in CBI revenue and other areas? I know he has been talking about focusing on other sectors of the economy so as not to rely heavily on the CBI.
Well, I'll deal with the two of them all at once. Now, in terms of the CBI is not going to just fall off like that because of the improvement in the structure that was done under this administration. That, yes, the EU, for whatever reason, do not like us to have it, or they have genuine concerns about people getting our passport and entering their country. It's one of the two. But because of the positive structure that was put in place, it is not going to fall off that drastically, but it will fall off. It's not going to last forever. And this administration don't want us to continue to have to sell our citizenship to raise revenue. Otherwise, we may soon be outnumbered.
Right.
Hence, the diversification. The diversification that the IMF spoke to is continued growth in the tourism industry and the energy sector. And those are two areas that I said I would discuss today. So let us look at the CBI for one. And I want to focus on one particular program that ran us into difficulty, the prison project. And why did it run us into difficulty? Because of the possible number of citizenships that could have been delivered on that one project at a minimum rate of $100,000 per citizenship times 4. Oh, well, 5,500, sorry. Times 4. 5,500 citizenship times 4. That's 25,000. But the rate, it was drastically reduced from a contributory input of 250,000 as it was when the SKNLP left office in 2015 down to 100,000. That's more than a 50% decrease in the cost. The EU were seriously concerned about that. As a matter of fact, when they wrote recently, they singled out the 4 countries that still had it at that time, and they may still have it, down at 100,000, being Antigua, Barbuda, Dominica, St. Lucia. Those were the countries that still had their contributory input at that time at 100,000. As a result of that, this particular project came under extreme international scrutiny, regional scrutiny, and local scrutiny.
Yeah.
Now, not just that it is a prison project, it is the number. Up to 25,000 citizenship to build a prison? Really?
How is this made possible, though? 25,000 citizenship. That is a lot.
That is a lot of money. And it should not take that to build a prison. Prime Minister, and I agree with him, feels as though other things should have taken priority.
Okay.
But let us say, for whatever reason, and I will assume a reason why when I'm finished here, the prison took some priority. There was enough in that to add some health project to it. There was also enough in it to add the Bastia High School. So you could have had the 3 projects in on it, or you could have had 2. But here's my thinking on why the prison was focused on. That government was being extorted by criminal elements. And the only way he knew, that is the then Prime Minister Dr. House knew to get out of it, was to lock them all up. But HMP and Keon Street is too small to hold them all. So he must want a big prison. But why would you want such a big prison? That is 700 million? Somewhere in the region there? You want a $700 million prison? For 35,000 people? But it has to be a plan to lock up everybody. I don't believe that was his plan. But I do believe that he intended to lock up those who extorted him. And it is the same young people who are involved in gang activity that he's trying to give the impression he had the best interest at heart. That was his intention. I can't see it any other way. If you're going to focus $700+ million on building a prison, what else could it be? That's how I think. That's my opinion. I can't say it is a fact. But in my opinion, all of the evidence points to that.
Do you think renegotiation is possible as it relates to this project, or is it set in stone? I was one of the reporters following this story, the prison project, and it was one that was rather interesting, as I was surprised when I saw the numbers come out as it relates to the number of citizenships that were approved for this project, because at that time it was not being made entirely clear. And so what can be done now for a possible renegotiation of this entire project?
Now, the laws governing the CBI say you can't just take the investment that was made for a particular project and funnel it to another.
Okay.
That is one of the things that will hold the government into that. 2, contracts were signed and the project had already begun. When you take those 2 things into consideration, it is extremely difficult not to go on with it. Because if you can't force the agency to do something else, because your law said, and they said it was to protect the investment. Your law, the law governing them said that if they say they're going to buy this telephone and people give money to buy this telephone, that's what you have to do. And so that is the difficulty that he's faced with. And it's an extreme difficulty that this administration is faced with respect to the prison project.
Mr. Edinburgh, it is 11:31. We have to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Get ready, St. Kitts and Nevis, for the first annual Jesus in the City Parade and Festival on Saturday, May 18th, 2024 at the Warner Park Stadium. Celebrate love for God and love for people throughout the city with festive floats, live gospel bands, choirs, costumes, banners, and paraders filling the streets of downtown Bastille with praise and worship. The opening festivities kick off at 11 a.m. with the parade leaving Warner Park Stadium at 12 noon, moving along city streets and returning to the stadium for a grand gospel concert celebration. Enjoy music featuring special international guest artists, local bands, food, and festivities for the whole family. Come lift up the name of Jesus in the city on Saturday, May 18th, 2024. To register your church, enter a float, secure a vendor booth, or to become a sponsor, visit jesusinthecity.com or call 662-8911.
Jesus in the city, hands in the air.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne, Cornelius, and if you're just tuning in, joining me in studio today is Austin Edinburgh, Special Advisor in the Prime Minister's Office, and we have been speaking on the Citizenship by Investment Program and achievements of the administration. Mr. Edinburgh, thank you again for joining me, and we continue where we left off from.
Well, I would like to conclude on the prison project by saying this, Devonne. These 5,500 citizenship were given exclusively by contract to a single agency. People may call and ask who the agency is. So it is Galaxy. A single agency. And only a 7-month period. They had a 7-month window they had to sell it and process it. That created a lot of problems. But we are also looking at the energy sector. And, well, Prime Minister has already said to the nation that the Caribbean Development Bank has already agreed and have this kind of grant loan, which is about 17 million. And the Saudis are going to put the other, well, they are negotiating funding the rest of the money, some $20 million, so that we could drill out all of the wells. Additionally, in terms of energy, the UAE has gifted us, because water is energy as well, has gifted us 2 desalination plants, one for St. Kitts, one for Nevis. All I would say to that is that they did their own procurement in selecting who will install the plants. The government's procurement had nothing to do with procuring the persons or person to install the plants. But it is projected that once the energy sector, and I would say by mid-2026, I'm believing that by mid-2026, we would have installed the solar plant here, and we would have been working hard and almost completed the geothermal. Let me finish on the solar plant by saying, again, persons, and I have no problems at all with persons thinking that it should be locally owned, because I like local.
Right.
But the evidence is not showing that we have either the financial capital for the physical plant, which would cost about $85 million to set up, nor do we have the technological expertise and the knowledge of solar generation readily available in St. Kitts. It also therefore means that we would have to import that.
Right.
And if we have to import that, it would cost us at least another $125 million. So you're talking about 215, 210 million EC dollars if we were to do so locally. And so it is expected that that plant would start this year, and by mid-2026 that would already be generating power. And with the geothermal, it is expected that we would have a vast amount of energy, and we will be able to sell to neighboring islands. That will generate a lot of income, because energy cost, and if we can sell at a more affordable rate than the fossil fuel importation to other countries, then they will buy from us. And apart from that, we would be able to attract other industries, because we would have adequate water supply and an abundance of electricity that is attractive to investors. And so I believe that's where we are. Now I want to say something with respect to the Productivity Council.
Okay.
Because the law was passed on that. And I just want to say that during Parliament, when the opposition were gifted an opportunity to talk about workers' rights, they didn't utilize it. It took the Minister Marsha Henderson, to come back in her closing to speak about workers' rights being a part of the Productivity Council. On the 17th of this month, the Tripartite Committee would be meeting again, and they said the only reason why the code that they met has not yet been implemented, because they wanted to just bring all of them under one umbrella. And of course the government must review if that's the way we want to go. But let us say that's the way they're going. There is a recommendation that certain amendments be made to these laws, so that when you come in, workers would be protected, their rights would be protected, their right to an income would be protected. And one of the things that is being considered under all of this is an industrial code. And so I believe that by the time this is completed, the worker in St. Kitts would not only be among the highest paid in terms of the minimum wage level, and so if the highest paid is along in terms of the minimum wage is there, then up in the middle it would also be higher. But additionally, the workers would be better protected than anywhere else in terms of their rights, because that is being considered as well. This thing about you can just give 3 months in lieu of notice and nobody could tell you nothing must come to an end. People have legitimate expectations that they would have placed on their work, And if you affect that for no good reason, then that must be calculated in the compensation.
Right.
And those are the things that is being looked at. And that is why we don't just want to bring everything under one place and just bring in the laws as they are, because they did not offer enough protection. And again, I'm going to say that none of the opposition parliamentarian, even though it wasn't totally spelled out in the bill that was before them, none of them spoke about it. It took the minister in closing to come back and speak about job security as a part of the bill.
Mr. Edinburgh, I will be looking very closely at the Productivity Council, because I believe we have an issue in St. Kitts and Nevis as it relates to productivity. And I will be looking at it because, you know, we've been in conversation at the regional level as it relates to the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. And I say that to say this, that our people, St. Kitts and Nevis, must become more productive to compete in the labor market. For me, it just cannot be this sense of entitlement. You know, well, here is mine, and so I deserve to get everything. While I understand that citizens must be first in their country, you must also be able to compete.
Yes.
You must also be able to bring something meaningful to the table to contribute to the development of your country.
Of course. And you must be in a position to source the high-paying jobs that would be coming in. But I also believe, and that's one of the things that we have overlooked a lot, because people seem to flock to the civil service because they feel that they have job security in there.
Right, yeah.
And job security doesn't only have to do with a long-term, you know, payment and pension and all of that. It has to do with the inability of government to just fire them.
Yes.
They know that in the private sector, for no reason at all, a man can just say, I don't want you to work with me. And the only protection you have under the law is about 3 months' pay in terms of in lieu of notice. A maximum. A maximum of 3 months' pay. So all of your expectations that you would have built on working for that company would have been ignored. And so that is why I'm saying that the Productivity Council will not only take into consideration making our workers more productive in terms of their work attitude and so on, but also give them greater protection.
Mr. Edinburgh, we're out of time, so we're going to have to open the phone lines now and see how many callers we can get in. Call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. If you are just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and in studio with me is Austin Edinburgh. And we've been speaking on achievements of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, looking at the CBI program, the National Productivity Council, among other things. The phone lines are open and we welcome your calls. I do believe you have some callers coming in. You have a caller. Hello, caller. Good morning and welcome to...
Good morning, gentlemen. Mr. Martin Barrow.
Edinburgh, please. Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, sir. Special morning to you. I hear listening to you, sir, and I have a problem because, as you know, right now, people are trying to register for the PAP, or what you call LIFT now. From sustainability check to PAP, they now LIFT. But the news that I get this morning is that they are re-registering people who been on the list from since the administration had their last registration. No new people they are taking. Is that so?
Well, I do not know, but I'm here, and I mean, you know, I will address your concern, but I'm hoping that we are not just looking at. Now, let me finish your answer.
Let me say something, and then I'm gonna go.
Okay.
You don't think it's best for the administration to contact Social Security and look and see on Social Security chart who making less than 3,000 or 2,005, whatever it is, and then register them people? Instead, for instance, I was told that you cannot have two persons in a household having that check. But
Caller, you're misinformation. Thank you for your contribution. Let me say something, Mr. Edinburgh. So, what is caller? Thank you for your contribution. What is happening is a re-verification, right? Where they're now asking people to verify the information that they previously submitted.
Exactly.
Right? We know that it has increased from 5 to 6. He mentioned Social Security. Social Security is actually a part of the process.
Well, I know, when I said I don't know, is when he was talking about whether they're registering people who were just there. I don't know that. And non-new persons, I don't know that. And I was about to tell him that Social Security is a database that we use to determine who pre-qualifies. You can pre-qualify on Social Security, but because of certain circumstances, end up not qualified. And you can, based on Social Security, not qualify, but because of certain circumstances, qualify. And this is the misinformation that is going around. And you said it well. But the one thing that we will make sure we don't enhance is entitlement. You must earn it. And those who are badly off and is in need of the support, they will get it. And anybody who's listening, I want you to know, if you think that you qualify, if you're having difficulty with doing it online, go to social services. And they will help you to get your information verified. Or if you are just applying for the first time, they will help you to register.
All right, let's head back to the phone lines and take another call.
Yes. Hello, I'm blessed. Good morning, Lord. Mr. Edinburgh, you could talk a long. Anyway, looking at the thing where they're talking about the password. Somebody called me from St. Croix, tell me, we're going to soon done with the password thing. Because you say we're making the money. You don't know. But once I could get my Social Security money, I to pay my mortgage to my house. Because I don't know what nonsense this here going on.
Let's take
you hear me?
Thank you. We have any more callers? Let's take another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devonne.
Good morning.
Did you win the answer thing yesterday?
If I did what, sorry?
If you won. If your school won.
My school won in the primary yesterday, Charlestown Primary.
Oh, tell him more. Tell him you are winning school.
Well, son, Charles E. Mills won.
Yes, a primary.
Oh, you don't want to hear about the secondary now?
No, I congratulate, but you got to congratulate village.
All right. Let's congratulate each other then.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, no, I think, Baba, you have to go and write over the whole script. The whole long thing you make there. When does the government plan to operationalize this investment thing for the children?
All right, let me answer that. The last, there was a meeting, if it's not early this month, it's towards the end of last month. And the framework...
I think it was late February.
Yeah. The framework, no, there was one in March.
In March, okay.
The framework to set up the trust, that is where they're heading.
When will it be operationalized?
I
the question,
said to you,
caller, hold on, you get
when the structure is put in place, you will know that the money is there to buy the shares. It has already been there, and everybody who qualified at that time is already entitled to it.
But that operationalized, they could always change their mind. Let me continue.
Maybe you like to change your mind. We don't.
Go ahead quickly.
The next one. This thing about, as you said, while we were selling for 100, and some of those same other countries selling for 100 still, how come the EU did not intervene in the affairs like how they intervene in ours?
All right, thank you for your contribution. Go ahead, Mr.
Well, that is not true at all, because when the EU spoke of St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, St. Lucia, and Antigua and Barbuda. But also in the mix is that St. Kitts and Nevis and Grenada had already increased. And so when they spoke about those that are selling for 100,000, they named the countries that were selling for 100,000.
Okay.
So that's all they did.
Let's take one more caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
Good
caller.
morning.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to address a question to Mr. Edinburgh pertaining to the re-registration of the PAP to the list.
Go ahead.
Ask a question, please.
I want to know, right, if you can speak to what I heard on a news item is that the elderly, the pension and disability folks do not have to re-register. Is that anything of the truth, sir?
Okay, I will speak to that. If there's one other call, and we'll take that final call, and then I'll answer both calls.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, and how are you all doing?
You're doing good. Go ahead, pose a question quickly.
Okay, yes, I will do that. Edinburgh talking about people misleading people, but it's not matter of misleading people, they're confusing, because this PEP and whatever they have, people already, when they went in first, people already reassigned to application, and now again they're changing it to live, and they had to reapply again. So it's confusing. It's really confusing people. So if you don't reapply, you can't get nothing. I think those who already apply for the from when they get in first, and they're gonna change it. It just change it over instead, and then if any new people want to, then they apply. Okay. But why they have reapply? That is confusing people, and that's why they're misleading people.
All right, Colin. Thank you for your
Let me answer both questions because it's on the same subject area. In terms of the older people not having to, I don't think it is that they don't have to. Persons of a particular age, they would perhaps reach out to them because they know that they're not technologically savvy. But if you are able to verify, no, it's nothing about re-registering. The threshold amount has changed from 3,000 to 2,005. The name of the program has changed. For those two reasons, you have to verify. Additionally, and let me say it again, because for those who are registering, as long as you're making above that in your Social Security returns, and you say you're not, automatically you're going to be disqualified because it means that you're dishonest. The Social Security data is a database that we use for pre-qualifying people. Let me say to the folks, verify your information. If you have a difficulty being technologically savvy, because I'm not all that technologically savvy either, and you don't have anybody to do it for you, it's best to get onto social services, either by telephone or in person, and they will assist you in getting it done.
If I could share quickly, right, and I have information here from the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs. So it says regarding the verification process, at present, only individuals who are currently receiving the PAP assistance for 2024 can verify their application information. For senior citizens, all senior citizens, that is persons over the age of 62, will be automatically transitioned to LIF once their salary wages are not above the eligibility threshold. So I take that to mean Social Security will verify the information first for them because they have the data. And if it is not above the $2,500 threshold, they will go straight through.
Straight in.
Right.
But and so they're talking about the pension, eh? It's a pension.
And Social Security is also saying here, the information in front of me is that when that is done, their pension that they get from Social Security and this will be paid on the same day. So everything gonna be paid one time. It ain't gonna be today or tomorrow or whatever.
What is confusing about that?
Yeah. So, but I want people to go and get the information for yourself. There are numbers that you can call. The numbers, let me give them quickly. 765-5993. They have all of the information as it relates to lift, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, etc. Mr. Edinburgh, we are out of time. We're going to have to end the program for today. Thank you for joining me, and hope to have you back in the future so that we can have more conversations like these. Have a good one and take care.
Thank you very much as well, Devonne. And I want to say to your listeners, it is always a pleasure speaking to you. We're not here to confuse. We're here to inform.
Absolutely. You've been listening to The Edge for Thursday, April 4, 2024. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius. Until next time, you guys stay safe. See you tomorrow.